Hey everyone, my name is Wes, and welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. I created this original horror music to add to the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to leave your own comments, and when you're done watching, check the description if you'd like to listen to my music without the commentary. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
What if I told you that there are human beings that look like you and me, but they're not human beings? There is this crazy theory on the internet right now that there are humans walking amongst us that are not like us. And this all starts in New Orleans with a woman who recorded a video, and I'm going to show you guys this video of a man that approached her, and everyone is saying that that is not a human being at all.
Yeah, so I thought this video was really cool. I wanted to do a reaction to it, and this will be in two parts because as you can see, the video itself is a half hour long, and I don't want one video to get super long. But his comment that there are humans walking among us that aren't really humans, that could be said about a lot of things like aliens or AI robots. But in this particular video, we are talking about vampires, and I just think some of the footage in this video is really intriguing, and I wanted to give some thoughts on it and see what your thoughts were as well. So let's get into it.
While researching this topic, I found out that this is not something that just happens in New Orleans or in the United States. It's something that's been caught on camera in many other places, such as Haiti. So I decided to go deeper into this rabbit hole and I came across videos of people who can supposedly shapeshift. They claim to have supernatural powers, to sometimes be immortals. I came across ancient texts about these things, stories, many of them. People are telling these real life stories of I met a vampire in New Orleans. I was bartending in a bar and I met a vampire. I took a ride home in an Uber and this guy told me about this vampire that I met. In my head, I hear her voice telling me, don't be scared. And videos of people who have recorded strange things that might actually suggest that there's something really strange going on.
Yeah, already really super interesting, huh? What is your take on vampires, and do you believe that people can shapeshift as well? I feel like shapeshifting is a little bit more one of the more out there things, but I believe anything could be possible. But I actually think vampires are more likely than shapeshifters. But these stories that people are telling about vampires, like the ones that are shared in this video, they're pretty crazy. And this guy right here I've already watched this video, so I have my own thoughts on things. But this guy is crazy, and I want you to let me know what you think in the comments if this guy is actually being for real or not. But yeah, let's keep watching.
So here's the full video. If you saw the story, you know, last night I saw something in the house that, as crazy as it sounds, to me looked like a vampire. I'm just going to show you the video. Here we go. Try it again. Hearing sounds up here.
Vampires? Human mutations? A hoax? A very elaborate one? And it dates hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. One of the most infamous story comes from New Orleans, the Carter brothers. So before we get to the ancient texts, the stories, and the videos, let's start with this specific video that's going viral right now of this woman who meets a man at a party. And this is what happens. So apparently she's having a good time and they're dancing. There's something going on with these eyes. If we zoom in, we can clearly see it seems reflective, and as many people state, this is not normal in human beings. Let's take a look at the comments. His eyes are reflective. Humans do not have that. Only animals, demons, or vampires. I don't know if demons or vampires exist, but I would say yes, animals usually have reflective eyes at night, and this is the case. But it could be contacts, as someone else states. But it is also scary, I had to agree with that. I've never seen that before, even with contacts. That's not supposed to happen, I guess. But is this the only time someone records something like this? I guess not. And this is in New Orleans, so wait a minute, let me take a look at this.
Yeah, so what do you think is going on with his eyes there? Do you think it's just some kind of reflective thing? Or do you think that he's some type of different creature? Let me know what you think. I honestly don't know what to make of that. Like, I feel like it could be some type of reflection or just something weird going on with some type of lighting aspect. I really don't know, but I do think it's funny that whenever anyone sees something strange about someone's eyes, they automatically think they're this monster, this like creature or something like that. It's pretty funny, in my opinion.
New Orleans has a strong association with vampire lore, fueled by urban legends, historical figures, and popular culture, particularly in French Quarter.
That's actually pretty interesting. I did not know that New Orleans had such a strong association with vampire lore. That's pretty crazy, and New Orleans does have a lot of history behind it. So I guess it makes sense because vampires are really old creatures and they've been around for a long time. So it would make sense that New Orleans New Orleans or however you say it, I really don't know, but um, it makes sense that the two would be associated, kind of, wouldn't it?
The most famous vampire legend involves the Carter brothers.
The tale of the Carter brothers, John and Wayne, dates back to the early 1930s. According to the legend, the Carter brothers were seemingly ordinary men who lived in a modest apartment in the French Quarter. They were described as quiet and unassuming, living a fairly typical life for the time. However, behind this facade, something far more sinister was allegedly taking place. The story begins with a young woman, disheveled and panicked, escaping from the Carter brothers' apartment. She fled through the streets of the French Quarter until she reached a police officer and told her horrifying tale. The woman claimed that she had been held captive by the Carter brothers, who had allegedly had over a dozen other victims restrained in their home. But this wasn't just an account of abduction or serial killing. What set this story apart was the claim that the Carter brothers were not human. According to the woman, they were vampires. The woman explained that the brothers
Oh
would
my.
come home each night and feed on their captives. She claimed that, like herself, most of the other captives were weak and on the brink of fate. Alarmed by the woman's report, the police rushed to the Carter brothers' apartment. What they found there only added to the mystery. Inside, they discovered several other captives in a similar state to the young woman. The Carter brothers were arrested, and authorities began to investigate the claims of vampirism more seriously.
So this has to be fake, made up, just a myth, right? I dig deeper into this vampire lore in New Orleans. I kept finding more and more information. I found stories, countless stories of people who tell about their encounters with these vampires or beings that look like us, but not exactly like us. And I also found videos of people who supposedly can shapeshift into what looks like vampires. And I found more information on these Carter brothers and that sort of stuff. Take a look at this.
Here's the full video.
What do you think of the whole Carter brothers thing? I mean, it's a crazy story for sure, but do you think it's real? For me, I really don't know. I think there's a possibility that it could be real, especially if there was at least one or more accounts that pointed back to that actually happening. But dang, could you imagine a couple of serial killers just like actually eating and doing that to their victims like that? That's pretty crazy, in all honesty.
If you saw the story, you know last night I saw something in the house that, as crazy as it sounds, to me looked like a vampire. I'm just going to show you the video. Here we go. Okay, trying again. Hearing sounds up here, like somebody's moving around. This stuff's been happening, but as soon as I pull my phone out, everything stops. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I swear I heard somebody up here. Holy shit. I don't know what happened. That thing vanished, and my camera stopped recording immediately. At the same time, it's gone. There's a slowed down version of what you saw, brightened and close up. I'm gonna post a still. I'm not sure how well you can see it. It turned like an old man to the door, lurched forward, and vanished.
Comments are saying it looks like a gray alien, I guess. Another person says that is not a vampire, that's a gray. So searching for more of these strange encounters in New Orleans,
Yeah, so if this particular video is real, I would say it does look a lot more like a gray alien in the first place, but that doesn't look like a vampire to me. But at the same time, I feel like something like this could easily be staged. Easily. I mean, someone is probably wearing a mask and they went inside that closet there. Like, what do you think? Because you can't be gullible and believe everything you see online. You just can't. And, you know, maybe in this particular video, the guy does seem to be, it seems like he's being sincere about it, I guess. I really don't know for sure. I'm not that great at telling how people are sincere and whatnot. But yeah, I think that this could easily be staged. What do you think?
I found this.
So how you're a vampire and you're 210 years old. How do you live so long? Do you drink blood? We do not condone drinking blood.
Now, taking a look at videos like this, I'm thinking this has to be fake. But most people in the comments agree that there's something really strange going on in New Orleans. And digging deeper into this, I found countless reports of people who share similar stories of vampire-looking people with non-human traits, abilities, and supernatural powers. Now, before we take a look into some of these stories, shape-shifting videos, that sort of stuff,
Okay. Me in 19.
Make sense of all this? Ever bought a home? I advise go.
Não vi bem, faz de novo. A bit sem força. Pode go, faz.
I think it's important for us to understand that this is not something new. This is something that has supposedly been happening for hundreds of years.
There's one really infamous story about how this lady claims, and she's a bartender, that the Carter brothers came into her bar. And the Carter brothers are infamous. Everybody has a story about them. They were these brothers in the 1930s in New Orleans. They were rumored to be vampires. Another famous example is Count Saint Germain, and people know of him as the man who does not die and knows everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's had sightings of him. People have claimed to have been seeing him since the 18th century, and he just like changes identities as time goes on. So
Yeah.
you know, figure out he's immortal. There are thousands of stories just like that.
Wait a minute. So Count Saint Germain was apparently born in the 1700s, and as stated in the Wikipedia, he is said to have made far-fetched claims such as being 500 years old. Sightings of the Count after his death. He is said to have died in 1784, but in 1789 he was allegedly seen in Paris during the French Revolution. Theosophist Annie Besant wrote that he was spotted in 1821 bearing no signs of aging. In the 19th century, Helena Blavatsky claimed that he was still alive.
That is crazy, isn't it? I've never heard of that figure before. The Germain guy. But that's wild. Like, I don't know. Do you believe in immortality? And if immortality does actually exist, what do you think would be able to make that possible? Because there's lots of different stuff in movies and TV shows about that kind of thing, of course, immortality. But is it really actually real? And do you think this Germain character has been around for 500 years? Because that is a crazy thought, that anyone on this earth has been around that long. Isn't that crazy? Because I think it is.
I might not believe it, but this might be an actual vampire in New Orleans. I'm sure we've all heard about the story of the Carter brothers that in the 1930s claimed to be vampires and eventually get executed. However, they started with New Orleans and vampires go a lot deeper and darker. Let me show you. In scripture, we find that the life of the flesh is in the blood, specifically in the Old Testament. And unfortunately, a lot of the occultists know about this power and this thing, where the blood is basically...
That's Helena Blavatsky.
Material world. And this woman here is Helena Blavatsky.
Huh.
She, in fact, has some relationship with New Orleans, and let me show you.
Really?
Here, this is a symbol of theosophy, and I'm going to be showing you who is also a theosopher. This guy right here is Jackson Germain, the notorious guy from New Orleans who claimed to be a vampire. Now, the story with this guy goes is his actual name is Count Saint Germain, but he tried to conceal and hide his real name because he, in fact, was alive in the 1700s.
Wait a minute, this can't be real. So according to legend, this guy moved to New Orleans from France in 1902. He claimed to be a descendant of the Count Saint Germain. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in New Orleans, that's for sure. Wait, you gotta be kidding me. They all kind of look alike. Is he still alive? What?
Oui. Il y a 17 000 ans. Je bénéficie d'un produit qui est issu d'une technique et d'une science qui me permet de traverser le temps. Je parle 17 langues couramment.
And it would make a lot of sense that Count Saint Germain, who was said to be immortal, would actually be a vampire-like creature, or a mutant, or something like that. This is just one theory, but let's continue and see what we can find next. So I found this guy, Domo Draper. He has 1.
Yeah, it would make sense that if someone like that were to exist, that they would be a vampire-like creature, I suppose. But in those pictures, it does look like they're all the same, doesn't it? Like, it doesn't look like he's aged at all over the years. And I do think that vampires, from my understanding, it does look like they age a little bit as time goes on. Like, as you'll see with the next guy, this black guy coming up here, who claims he's a vampire, which is, this is one of the most mind-boggling videos I've seen in a while regarding supernatural stuff, because it's just mind-boggling that anyone would claim that they're a vampire and be so adamant about it on social media. But it looks like this guy has gotten older over the years, but Germain, it doesn't look like he's barely gotten any older. So 500 years and doesn't look like you age at all. Like, maybe he did crack the code for immortality or something like that. It's if that's even real. Who really knows? But this is all just wild stuff, isn't it?
3 million followers, and he says he's a screenwriter. And he's got a bunch of vlog-type videos. He talks about anything, actually. But amidst his hundreds or thousands of videos, he's got one in which he states that he is not a human being like we are. And it all starts with this video over here. Someone asks, "You look 30 and 60 at the same time." And he kind of explains why he looks 30 and 60 at the same time.
What if I told you that there's a really good explanation for that? Allegedly. The reason why I may look 30 and also look 60 is because I'm both. This is me in 1944, 45, allegedly. This is me in the lobby of the Chelsea Hotel. I was waiting on Gordon Parks. If you don't know Gordon Parks, he's a world-renowned photographer, a musician, composer. He wrote books. He's actually one of the founders of Essence magazine. I did him a favor, and I said I'd go to my grave with this favor. I'd never tell anybody. Anyway, I did him a favor, and he repaid me with friendship. So this is me just waiting in the lobby, waiting for him to come down. It was like a Great Gatsby themed party.
Some people believed his stories, some didn't, including me. But then he uploads 2 more videos in which he shows more evidence that he's not a human being like us. What the heck?
Let me explain something about facts.
Please do.
This is the part of the video where everybody becomes a vampire expert, but those same people don't believe in vampires. Y'all humans are weird. Fangs are like your saliva. You don't salivate unless you smell food, you think about food, you about to eat some food. Fangs are the same way. Fangs are not meant to just pop out whenever. You know, this ain't True Blood. Like, stop with the movie.
Okay.
Force fangs out, it hurts, right? Because your body is not naturally opening up for the fangs to drop out.
Wait a minute. When he says that it hurts to force the fangs out, that they have to come out naturally. That reminds me of videos of these vampires, the supposed vampire beings in Africa and in Haiti and other places. They all say the same thing.
Yeah, that is a pretty crazy guy right there, isn't it? Like, he's actually claiming to be a vampire, and I don't know why. I just think it's one of the most mind-boggling things I've seen in a while. And I don't know, those fangs there just coming out of his teeth like that, dang. Like, is that convincing to you? Because it makes me want to believe it, honestly. Like, I want to believe the guy's a vampire. He makes it super convincing. And that other photo, that black and white photo on that he showed before back way in the 1900s, that was really interesting too, honestly. I mean, I guess you could Photoshop stuff like that pretty easily also, but at the same time, it's super interesting. Just like super interesting stuff.
Agora vai, faz a tua magia aí pra sair os dentes. Não vi bem, faz de novo. I think sem força. Pode go, faz.
Now, I gotta be pretty honest here. I don't know how he's doing this, unless this is like a really sophisticated magic trick. At a certain moment, you can actually see that he doesn't have anything in his hands, in his mouth. How does that happen?
Não vi bem, faz de novo. I think sem força.
The growling sound is even weirder, to be honest. There's also stories of people all over New Orleans who share similar aspects of these vampire-like human beings. But before we take a look into some of these stories in which people share the same kind of stories, same aspects, it's too much of a coincidence. They all seem pretty scared. They seem like they actually ran into something that they couldn't explain. Let's take a look at what Domo Draper did next, because people didn't believe in that video, so he did another one. Okay, there's nothing there. He's in the sunlight, by the way. What? Oh my gosh. Let's take a look at that again. Why does it move like that? That is just too weird. What the heck? Someone says phenomenal editing skills. Renee says, imagine if vampires were trying to come out and be real with us, but we just like you lying. On another video, Domo Draper shows how old he is. Check this out.
I kind of feel like the more I show you, the more you guys won't believe me. But that's okay. I'm used to this now. That's me. This is me in 1919, I believe. I was trying to be an actor. I've always been trying to make my way into film, even 100 years ago. I kind of switched over to screenwriting, as some of you might know, just because it's a hard industry to crack. Back then they didn't really allow too many Black people in silent films, so you really had to be animated to kind of let them know what you're capable of.
So we got two pictures of him supposedly hundreds of years ago. According to him, this is 1944 and this is 100 years ago, and I would say that photos kind of match, which is kind of crazy. It would be pretty far-fetched to believe in anything of this sort. Vampires? Immortals? Count Saint-Germain? New Orleans? What? But what about the coinciding strange stories that people share all over New Orleans?
I just decided.
Alright, I'm gonna stop it there and create a second part to this video, but I think that second part of where he shows his teeth again, that is pretty realistic looking to me and very convincing. Like, I really want to believe that that guy is a vampire. What about you? Do you want to believe that guy is a vampire? Let me know in the comments, but I think I am going to stop it now and continue with the part 2, so be sure to check that out. And I hope you enjoyed my commentary and the music, and I will see you in the next video.